Hey, what's up? What's up? So I don't know what to give this show because I've watched the first 3 episodes, and what I can only say is potential. Yeah, there's a lot of potential. There's a lot of promise in what they've established. The best advice that I can give you is that episode one is kind of slow, takes its time with establishing the characters, takes its time establishing the setting. It's raunchy. You don't watch this with your kids. I mean, all the episodes are raunchy, but not raunchy, that raunchy, disgusting raunchy. It's raunchy in a much more relatable and something that could happen to anyone. It's relatable because it's based on Kenyans, Nairobians, especially if you are a dude in Nairobi, you probably have friends like that. It's too early. I'm on episode 3 and I thought they've done a lot of good setups. Episode 1 is okay, but I thought things become interesting as you jump into episode 2 and 3 because that's where now you feel like characters start getting out of their shell. For example, Lorna, played by Habida, you see her come out of her shell because now she becomes much more than the angry housewife. I thought by episode 3 she becomes this interesting individual, especially when another character he's now involved in a story and they feel like they have an history. That for me was one of the most impactful moments because I did not like how she was handled in episode 1. And then when you go into episode 2, you start seeing her given the same treatment. But then as you jump into the second act of episode 2, things start getting interesting. In relation to her husband, Michael, who's played by Bilal Wanjao, fantastic performance. They actually pushed to do a lot of awkward scenes on screen. And I thought they were really good at it. They really bring out the core personalities of these particular characters. So this show is based on 4 characters. You have Alan, you have Malik, you have Edu, you have Michael. And all these personalities have different issues. For the first 3 episodes, I thought El Safan Jora's character was much more dominant in terms of acts because we are just introduced to his issues immediately. We know the kind of person he is, we know what he's going through, we know the kind of challenges that he is going through. And yeah, it's relatable. And you have some really well performed moments with Patricia Kihoro's character somewhere. And that again pushes him as an actor to do some really interesting stuff. And then you have these moments in the car when he's having a conversation with himself. Again, I thought the first 3 episodes really give a lot to his character. And by the end of the 3rd episode, it's taken somewhere that I didn't think they were going to take it. But his character is... And then now you bring in the character of Malik, who's the brother. And then now you have Jimmy Gattu as the dad, the engineer. That just brings out a very interesting dynamic. And watching the effect of the father on these two individuals, 2 totally different individuals who do 2 different things, was a very interesting father-son's exploration of these particular characters. Jimmy Gattu is very interesting when he pops up. There are other characters who pop up who are also very interesting. I don't want to spoil it for people. Think of Suits, and they just add more depth to Michael's character in relation to Lorna, who's played by Abida. So I thought that was pretty cool. By the 3rd episode, the 2nd and the 3rd episode, you get more of Patricia Kihoro's character. And she is, damn, yeah, they are very sexy women in this show. And there is one particular moment I was like, damn, I see what you guys are doing. I see what the production team is actually doing. But outside that, I like they also give us a hint of where they want to take the story in terms of her arc, because she has an interesting relationship. She has an interesting relationship with Alan. I don't want to spoil it for people. So yeah, this is a very raunchy movie, but the raunchiness sometimes is so grounded. It's like, because I've had friends who are married and I've heard their stories, and some of the stuff that they talk about, I saw in this particular show. Some of the uncomfortable things that happens to them, I saw in this show. With a character like Edu, I did not like again what they did with him in the first episode, because it kind of takes that generic crime angle, but then when the idea of Lorna comes in through Michael, And then you have that moment in episode 3 where Lorna and Edu having a conversation. I thought to myself, now this, where they want to take this, this is very interesting. Now, in terms of the technicalities, the cinematography is okay. It's actually good, it's decent. Again, very, very good locations. I thought the locations were superb because they are a reflection of the middle class, which I think is the target market for this particular show. They perfectly reflect that culture. Um, Very sexy individuals, very sexy characters, because that's what it's meant to be. Anyway, I'm getting distracted. And what makes them sexy again goes back to the costume designers, and makeup artists, because those are the people who make this character look a certain way, behave a certain way. So that look, I think they nailed it. That sexiness of the show, they absolutely nailed it through the costumes, through the makeup, and through some of the locations. Because yeah, there are some really bold scenes that they actually throw at us. Still on the technicalities, I don't know, ADR. Yeah, and this goes into the negative. The ADR is too much, man. The ADR is just it eats up everything else. It consumes everything else. It consumes the background noise. It consumes the atmospheric ambience noise. So it feels odd when people are talking and they are super clear, but you cannot hear the noise in the background, especially in a club. You cannot hear people bantering in the background. You cannot hear, if it's the house and it's night, there are subtle things there are noises that come out during the night that you hear them and they are a part of the sound design. And you later on in episode 3 learn that the restaurant is next to a road, but you never hear cars. So those are the smaller things that I had an issue with. So the performances are great, the costume design is great, the cinematography is decent, it's a clean looking show. The performances are daring. As I keep saying, there are moments they get raunchy, but they get raunchy in a decent way, in relation to where the story wants to take these particular characters. So would I advise you to check it out? Yes, most definitely, but be patient with episode 1. The one-dimensional characters that you see in episode 1 are not that. And I'm talking specifically about Edu and Lorna and Patricia, because they're presented in a certain way that they feel one-dimensional. But as you go forward, you start learning things about them and they become much more interesting. Generally, the first 4 actors I thought were okay. They were really good. I like the fact that the 4-play title card and the general imagery for the title card is a reflection of what some characters are going through. Pretentious cinephiles would call it, it's very symbolic and something like that. But I like the idea that the title card is very, very clean, and there's also a sense of design in the opening credits. It's very stylish. They do something that I actually really enjoy. There's a sense of style within the show. So yeah, I would have actually encouraged you to watch this. Be patient with the first episode. Things get interesting from the second act of the second episode. That's where now things start become complicated for the other characters. For episode 1, Alan's character, you start getting to know about him and you start seeing his challenges and you start seeing where they might take the character. But again, things get elevated very, very, very quickly. I thought some of the things that they do by episode 2 were going to be done by episode 6, especially with Alan's character. But by episode 1, we are already there. We are on gear, we are on gear 11. By episode 2, we are out of the planet. So yeah, this is a show that I would highly recommend. And yeah, it's not necessarily made for the dudes. I know it's created for the dudes, but it's accessible to anyone. Don't watch it with your kids. Send your kids to bed, sit back and enjoy it. And it's written also decently. Yes, overperformance, yes, a bit theatrical, but it's decently written. So basically that's it. Remember to always watch what you enjoy and enjoy what you watch. I'll see you on the next one. Adios.